Good evening, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys being here and being part of the show. It is Hall of Fame week. Hope you guys tune in tonight in about 2 hours for our live stream coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll be talking about the Dallas Cowboys as they get ready to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in preseason action. We have a lot of players that won't be making the trip, from Dak Prescott to DeMarcus Lawrence, won't be Amari Cooper, Tristan Hill. Guys that are injured will not make that trip. That's already a known fact by the Dallas Cowboys. And it's okay because, really, if they're not going to play, why risk them going to, Canton and being around people? We're seeing players out there that are testing positive for COVID. Hell, the Minnesota Vikings right now literally don't have a quarterback because all of the top three are in COVID protocol. The Washington football team, I believe at last count, they had 7 players that are on the COVID list, and who knows if there'll be any more in the next day or two. So from the standpoint of, I know we thought we were past this, it's better to be safe than sorry. Although I look at it kind of differently, that it would be nice for the team to be able to have the whole team together to go through those halls of the Hall of Fame. And it's beginning to hit me going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Interesting thing. I've seen the clips. A lot of people shout out to you from Calvin sending it to me, and Gina and everybody else, of Dak Prescott running sprints by himself after practice. And this is kind of an amazing thing, because a lot of times what happens when people get paid, and I'm not saying that people do this intentionally, a lot of times before a player gets paid, you'll see them play lights out. I think about Jason Hatcher, and I'm not saying that this may be a coincidence, but Jason Hatcher averaged through his career about 3 sacks a season. But in that contract year, he had 11, in which case he signed a big contract with the Washington football team and went back to his 3 sacks a year. I think about Robert Quinn, who was on a 1-year deal with the Cowboys, 11 sacks. He gets a big contract and goes to the Bears, 1 sack. Clearly not the same guy he was the year before. And I'm not saying that this is what happens, that you relax, but I think, once you get that new position or that raise, you kind of go, you kind of kick back a little bit. You kind of say, yeah, I'm important to this. I can breathe a sigh of relief. And the problem for football is a slight sigh of relief can be what can set you behind. Everything happens so quickly in football. We're watching, a 3-hour long game, but the action that happens in a game altogether is probably about 10 minutes of actual action on the field. And if you play on offense, you're only paying half of that. If you're on special teams, you're only playing, like a tenth of that. So the time you're actually playing, it's literally a blink of the eye. And for whatever reason, it just seems like when guys get paid, they don't necessarily have that same hunger. Well, I got to tell you, you would think that Dak Prescott was going out there still trying to prove people wrong and get that big payday. As a quarterback, we've seen quarterbacks that aren't exactly the perfect specimen out there. We've seen Big Ben. When you look at Big Ben, do you think athlete there? You look at him and it's kind of like, yeah, not exactly picture perfect physique. And typically, as a quarterback, you don't have to do a whole lot of running. Unless you're Lamar Jackson, or Kyler Murray, or behind a shitty offensive line. But yet, here we have Dak, who has an injured throwing shoulder, who hasn't missed a practice yet. Be it he's not throwing with his arm in team drills. but he's still running and even throwing with his left arm. He's putting in extra work after practice. These are traits of leadership, because if you're a player that's on this roster and you look up, you're new here, and you see Dak Prescott, who is a media darling, definitely, got to be a Jones favorite to get that contract. A guy who has it all together and has it made. Yet, he's out there after practice running some more. That says to me, if he's out there still working, I maybe want to think about doing that extra work too, because I want to get on that level. And if he's working that hard, then maybe I should be too. And that goes to leadership and desire. He's still going out there like, okay, it's a big deal. I got some money. I still have a lot to prove. I absolutely positively love that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That, my friends, is a beautiful thing. And I hope to see more of that. Because more times than not, in this day and age, most guys just don't want to practice. Let me just show up for the games. Man, I got all this money. No. I love that. Now, here's an interesting piece, and I'll touch on this more later. I'm sitting here thinking about the Indianapolis Colts. You have to think about two coaches that literally put everything on the line on other quarterbacks. And I think about Frank Reich, who you could almost look at the Eagles situation and say, the Eagles weren't the same team once Frank Reich left. The offense was not. Frank Reich got magic out of Carson Wentz that was never achieved since then. Frank Reich put his neck out there to try and get Carson Wentz and had no backup plan for Carson Wentz. It was all in on Carson Wentz. They say 5 weeks minimum, which is at least the first week of the season, maybe second week. But it could be as much as 12 weeks, which is half the season. You're also talking about now going through training camp without another quarterback that has any experience whatsoever. Would it be crazy to think that Frank Reich could talk to the Bears about trading for Nick Foles? He knows the system. He knows the quarterback. There's not a lot of options out there. What if? What if this thing is lingering? I know they say 5 to 12 weeks, but here's the thing that's crazy though. Amari Cooper's foot, ankle, whichever it was, that clean out, that maintenance operation was back in January. We are now 8 months past that, and he's still not back on the field. So when you say that surgery, it's no big deal. It can be a big deal. It can be. And if it is with Carson Wentz, who's had problems, and when he came back from his injuries, his injured knee, kind of started off slow and really didn't get into the groove, and it was Nick Foles that came in and saved him again. Because he was 5-6, Nick Foles came through and they won off 4 straight games to qualify for the playoffs. Could it be that Nick Foles comes in and saves the day again? It's kind of crazy, but who knows? It's the NFL. And you're talking about desperation time. What better option is there for the Colts? I don't know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that one. Crazier things could happen. Hope to see you guys tonight, 9 o'clock. Like I said, that is 2 hours and 20 minutes from now, and I'll get cleaned up a little bit because this is Hall of Fame week, and everything from this moment on, I got the honey-do list out the way for the wife so that she's happy while I'm gone. It's now a matter of getting all my gear packed up, ready to go, getting the guys ready for this trip, because 6 o'clock on Thursday morning, we are headed for Canton. See you in a bit. Peace.